Oh, well, howdy guys, how are we going? Cheers and happy lockdown and isolation. Oh. Haven't had a chance to get out and do any more camping since they've locked down the national parks and the state forests. But I have found one national park close to home that is still open. But I won't say anything just yet. I'm going to head out later in the week to have a look around, see what it's like, and I might do a hike through it, just an overnighter. But we'll see. We'll see later in the week how that goes. So today I thought I'd just go through the stuff that I took bike packing with me last week. Just a short test of 2 days with it on the bike, and to give my opinion on what they're like, or what the gear is like. Now, of course, this is all gear that I've purchased. I haven't received anything for free. This is all my honest opinion of the gear that I've bought for myself. So let's start. The FE Active Hammock. Now, I bought this on Amazon for $39.99 Australian, and of course it comes with the 2 tree straps as well. It also has an integrated bug screen, which is quite small, so it's good for midges or sandflies, as we get around here a lot. So it was good in that respect. I noticed it was quite comfortable. I've never hammock camped before. This was the first time I've hammock camped. But I'm looking for stuff that, it's not so much the weight, but it's the room, especially for bike packing. You know, like my tent is 2.5 kilos. It takes up a fair bit of room. And for an overnight bike pack or for 2 or 3 days, it's really a pain in the arse, really, to go bike packing with. And that's why I was looking at a hammock, not so much the weight. By the time, unless you go and pay big money on an ultralight setup, my hammock and straps, they come in at 1.4 kilos, so it's not overly light. And of course, you know, you have to have a tarp, and the tarp that I've got is not necessarily an ultralight tarp, but it is a good one, and I have lightweight aluminium pegs with it. That comes in around 400 grams, so just under the 2 kilo mark. So it's not a great deal of weight saving, but the room saving is what I love. Now this one, like I said, comes with an integrated bug mesh. When I first tried it at home, I found it quite restrictive. As you can see, along the top there are 2 ridge lines that feed through the bug mesh and connect to the tree. Now, I found it a lot better and a lot roomier camping at Kinkuna, where I had them spread apart a decent width, because it didn't seem to pull the hammock up like that. It actually pulled the hammock out like that, which gave you a bit more room, much more comfortable. I've also run a ridge line from end to end of the hammock to pull it in, give me a little bit more sag. I found it a little bit more comfortable doing that. And of course, went out by the coast. The sea night breeze got quite cool on my back, and even in the sleeping bag I made the newbie mistake and didn't have anything as far as insulation wise under me. So I found a cheap square sleeping bag at home, and I will knock up a cheap underquilt, and there is one I've got at my eye on Amazon for about $60, which covers me down to about 0 degrees, which is pretty well all I need around this area. So that was a hammock. I was quite impressed. I still need to do a little bit of tweaking, still need to get a little bit used to it, but I'm sold. I think I might use a hammock more often, and especially after the operation and I can't ride for some time, I will be getting into hiking, and I think it's a good alternative. So far so good. like I said, still needs some more tweaks. I need some more tweaks. It's not so much the hammock, it's the user. Oh, one other thing before I say, when I first bought this hammock, I gave it a 1 star. And that was simply because the first night I got to try it, some of the stitching pulled apart. I repaired it, got it back together, hopped in it again, and all the screen at the rear of the hammock ripped apart from the hammock and up, basically destroying it. I organised a return on Amazon. I gave it a 1 star. Tony, the owner of FE Active, he emailed me direct and said, look, I don't like 1 stars. I'm going to send you out a complimentary hammock, free of charge. All I want you to do is try it, give it a whirl, and if you're happy with it, change your rating. And I did. This one hasn't had any issues. You always get that odd one that's got some fault. And you know, I gotta give them 5 stars on their customer service. Of course, there's probably better hammocks out there, and I'm not denying that. But when you come across a company that stands by their product, that's all well and good in these days. Well, next on the list, and I have to say I quite like this one, is the Blackburn Outpost Handlebar roll bag. Look, I have to be honest, I am fast becoming a Blackburn fan. They, like Topeak, make pretty good gear at a reasonable price. Okay, it's not the cheapest, no, but it's certainly not the most expensive. And it does what it's meant to do. This one I bought on pushies.com.au. And they usually sell for about $140 odd. This was on special for around, I can't remember if it was 99 or 109, but it was a lot cheaper than what the original price was. The reason I chose this one is simply because I like the mount on it. It mounts onto the handlebar with a solid mount that stays, you can leave it on your handlebars and it doesn't interfere anything. And by the time the bag mounts on the handlebar, it stays very clear of your cables. Now, of course, it is rated. Now, I was a bit confused because on one side of the tag when I bought this, when it was new, it said 8 pound, which is about 3.5 kilos. And on the other side it said 10 pound, which is about 4.5 kilos. So I'm going to work on the lighter weight. It had at least 3 kilos on it the last trip and handled it well. Now, of course, it has buckles, comes with a dry bag. You can take that out, leave that mounted on the bike if you like, and the dry bag holds a fair bit. I had my cheap and nasty Adventure Ridge sleeping bag, which doesn't compact down that well. I had my hammock, the straps, and my poncho in it. So I think it holds about 6 litres by memory. I could be wrong on that, but I think it is about 6 litres. But it looks more like a 10 litre bag. Of course, it velcros on to the inside of the mounting pad and tightens down pretty well. The other thing I like about it too is it comes with a set of straps that you can hook down under your handlebar stem, and you can put stuff on top, and of course when that's closed the straps can come over and you can cinch down and put stuff on top as well. Now, like I said, I had that gear in there. I had my tarp on top, and I had a tripod on top, and I also mounted the GoPro on a selfie stick on top as well. Everything handled well, didn't even look like coming loose. The straps cinch down quite well and do not come loose. The only thing I did notice that when you cinch it down, it does pucker up in the middle a little bit, but that doesn't really affect using it at all. Big thumbs up for this, love it, and I'll certainly upgrade more gear on the bike when I can to Blackburn Outpost gear. I just like it. My opinion though. Next on the list is the frame bag by Azure. Now I bought this ages ago. Actually, I did a video, I think it was earlier last year, budget bikepacking to Brisbane, and I had a very budget conscious setup, even down to the point where my frame bag that I used then was a 5-litre cooler that I bought some strapping, Velcro strapping, and used some 30-pound fishing brain to sew it on, and that was my frame bag, and it worked well. I actually bought this prior to going on the trip, but I bought it through, I can't remember, I bought it through Velo Gear, and they take a little bit longer to deliver than some other companies. I think it was about $24.99, so it's still within the budget range, still quite inexpensive. I never had it for that trip. Unfortunately, it's a bit long for the mountain bike. Fits perfectly on the Kona, but that's my fault, not the bag's fault. It's perfect for a day ride, an overnight, and even maybe 2 nights. I had battery packs and so forth in there. You have, of course, 2 zippers. One zipper goes into a larger pocket. It has some very good extra pockets in there, and Velcro tab to hold that down. And of course on the other side we have a shallower pocket and of course, just essentials. You have a money or a key or a personal item little zipper there. It is not waterproof. It does have a waterproof lining, but the zippers, and there's no taping on the zippers, I think that you would probably get water in there eventually if you were having a heavy shower. So if you're going to carry some gears like camera or battery packs or anything like that, I would actually put them in another bag to just protect them. All in all, 24 bucks, thumbs up from me, and I was quite happy with it. I'll keep using it. I do want to upgrade to a full frame bag though. And last on the list is the Azure seat pack. It rolls out to be 8 litres full capacity. I'm still out on it. The jury's not completely in on this one. I have had some issues with it. It works all right. It was hard to tell how much movement it gives because I had my food bag and cook pot up on top. Hence why I want to get a full-size frame bag to do away with that. Again, it's good for overnight at the most. I was only able to get my first aid kit, snake bandage. I had a dry bag with a change of cycling clothes on, because remember I was going for 4 days, so I was packing for 4 days. So I had a spare pair of Nicks, a shirt. I also had a t-shirt and shorts and a pair of underwear and a fresh pair of socks, coupled with my just a light jacket in case it got a bit cool, and that was at its maximum. It is waterproof, well, they say it's waterproof. It has a waterproof lining on the inside. Other people have said they have trouble stuffing things inside this, but I actually didn't have any issues. I thought it was quite good. The issues I did have with it was its stitching. As you can see, I've had to repair that. Now, I hadn't even really used it. I just unpacked it a couple of times and repacked it a couple of times to see the best way things could fit in. But I've had to restitch that using some 6-pound fishing braid. It's always good now, fishing braid. And of course, I think on this side you can see the stitchings come undone again. So workmanship or finish is a little bit dusty on it. Other than that, it was a $65, I think it was $64.99. I think it's only worth 40 myself. I think 65 bucks is a bit dear for the quality of the bag. It's still within a budget range, and to get you started, yes, it would be fine. It did me. All the mounting straps seem to be well positioned and hold the bag quite well on the back. Again, it was hard to tell how much movement was in there. I wasn't off the saddle a lot, and of course I had the extra stuff mounted on top. Having said the negatives, it worked. It did the job. I think personally for me, I'd like to go up to a 10 or 12 litre bag, and I much prefer the option of having the harness with the removable dry bag, similar to the Outpost setups and other, I think Salsa do a similar one as well. But look, it did the job. It was all right. Aside from stitching issues, it didn't let me down. There was no rain, so I couldn't tell whether it how waterproof it is. Although after doing my handiwork, I think I'm going to have to get some of that waterproof taping from a camping store and recover that. I'll keep it, and I'll use it until I can upgrade it. I will upgrade it, that's for sure. It can be used for if one of the kids want to come out with me. It can go on the back of their bike and it'll be perfect for them. I think it's a little bit overpriced for its size and its quality. I can see some of the, it's probably hard to pick up on the camera, but you can see some of the stitching in here starting to really stretch, and I honestly don't think that it would last long. You would probably you'd be doing well if you use this for the occasional weekend, yeah. But if you were to use this all the time, you'd be doing well to get 6 months out of it, I reckon. So price versus quality, I think, is a bit steep. And that's all I've got to say on that. The level peg does its job, but I'd save up the money and go a little bit better, something else. But if you were desperate, didn't have any more than 65 bucks to spend on a saddle pack, I'd reluctantly get it. Well guys, that's it from me. I hope you're all isolating and locking down well. I'm in the caravan at the moment because my wife has been working, and my surgery is in about 3 weeks time, So she is classified as high risk, so I am out in the caravan, and now school holidays are on. She's going to quarantine herself from the rest of the world for a fortnight, and hopefully I'll be allowed back in the house. But anyway, that is it from me on this one. I'm going to finish my coffee. I do hope to be able to get out later this week and just do a bit of a ride around that national park and see what it's like. Again, I really hope you're all doing well through all this and coping quite well. So there's only one thing left to say, and that's cheers. Ride safe out there, eh?